Our world continues to change and push us in ways we have not been challenged before. On this show, we talk about these challenges, how to be aware of them, face them, and overcome them in your life. This is David Waldas, creator of the Aligned Living System.
And I'm Nick Musica, Aligned Living Coach. Welcome to the Aligned Living System podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Aligned Living System podcast. This is David Waldas here with Nick Musica. Our topic today is the difference between fourth dimensional manifestation and fifth dimensional manifestation. And let's explain a little bit about, give it some context, because you probably know some of those words, but that, like, if I heard that, I don't know, I'd feel like, what the hell are they talking about? And so
I know the word.
Good morning,
I know
Nick.
the word. Good morning.
Yeah.
I know the word difference.
But people are always talking about manifestation, right? And it's, we're always creating, we're always manifesting. And so let's break that down a little bit. And I think it needs some context first, the difference between fourth and fifth dimension, and really the reference point. And so we talk about normal human reality as a third dimension, right? Like, that's the place where it's a textbook reality. It's the place where, the newer sciences that are discovering there's something more going on than the physical sciences, where there's a dimensional reality beyond that. And so, the old world was the third dimension. Then they start to access the fourth dimension. Fourth dimension is a place where the ego still reigns. It's a place where we still can get really embedded in our problems, but it's a place where we can kind of get behind the scenes of the third dimensional reality and force things to be different. It's a place where, people are operating with things like witchcraft, with things like even a lot of just regular manifestation techniques, is saying, okay, what does my ego want to create? And then operating in a higher aspect of ourselves with our ego to bend reality, to hold ideas, and to keep holding them until it forces them into being. And it's something that is driven by our egos, our desires, our wounds, what we think we want. And of course, right? Like, who doesn't want, like, if I can create more wealth in my life, great. If I can create more love in my life, great. If I can create, all of these things. But here's the short-sightedness of it, is we create stuff that by the time we have it, it's the difference between something being holistic. Like, this makes me think about essential oils. Essential oils have, like, say 200,000 active ingredients in it that are like, different alcohols, and, I forget what you'd actually call them, but there's basically 250,000 active ingredients in an essential oil. And a lot of modern medicine, a lot of pharmaceuticals are actually derived from plant medicine. And they say, okay, well, this was the main active ingredient. We're going to take it, synthesize it, and then expand it so that it has 100 times the effect. And so what happens? Well, we get all kinds of side effects. It's way more effective. It's like, oh, I took an essential oil and I feel a little different. Great. But that's holistic. It's working with our whole system, our whole body. And then the pharmaceutical is made into a synthetic, and it has a massive effect, but it also has massive side effects because it doesn't have all of the connective tissue. It doesn't have all of the ingredients that would make it holistically be helpful. Or it hasn't, like, essential oils have developed over millions of years through, plants have developed through millions of years to be holistic. Does that make sense?
In the cannabis world, this is called the Entourage Effect, which is,
okay,
can we just get really, really high and take the THC out, right?
Yeah.
Which is sort of the pharmaceutical perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely.
There's synthetic THC out there. Yeah. Versus, but this plant, the reason we advocate for the plant is conversation. But then the flip side of that is, but just give me a shit ton of the THC.
Yeah.
And it's sort of what you're talking about right now.
Yeah. And a lot of that too is like crossbreeding and like messing with plants in order to create something, as opposed to like the plant actually evolving on its own through its interaction with nature.
Yes,
and so ego intervening. I think it should be more like this, and I think that would be good. And
yes,
it's created some weird things. And so it's also kind of a form of shortcutting, hacking it, as opposed to, what actually is going to create, like if we can manifest exactly what we want in our life, Ideally, we could say, I want to feel extremely fulfilled. I want to feel abundant. I want to feel successful. I want to feel like the most me version of me fully expressed out in the world, and for the world to receive that in a really great way and to reflect it back to me in a really great way. And I want that to be my life. Like, well, that's worth manifesting. And we don't really look at it that way. And our brains can't really wrap around the idea of what is the magnitude of that? What are all the moving parts? And so we go, you know what? I want to be rich. I want to get that girl or that guy. I want to get, these things. And then we lock in on it and we form it. And then we create things that, don't have all the connective tissue, don't have the entourage that comes with it that would support it, that would make it work. And we've overridden our own personal development. We've overridden what really wants to support us. We've overridden the process of it that sometimes is necessary in order for us to shed the things that we need to shed to become more and more us. How's that all landing so far as we talk about the fourth dimensional manifestation?
I mean, for me, that all makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. And so fifth dimensional manifestation, what is that? And so that is co-creation with the organizing energy of the universe. And we talk about organizing energy of the universe a lot on here. And we could call it God, but whatever you call it, it's unmistakable. There's something that brings order to the universe, to our experience of being. Something that, like our autonomic functions, like us, the earth rotating around the sun and the moon rotating around the earth and us flying through space inside this solar system that's ever expanding. Something makes it all work. Something makes biology work. Something makes ecosystems work. There's an organizing energy. And so when we align with that organizing energy and we allow that to be our guide, we talk about aligning our will with this organizing energy or our will with God's will. And something magical happens. We start to have all of these crazy synchronicities, these miracles, things start to unfold. And at the same time, we start to get confronted with ourselves. And this is the part where people are trying to avoid it. Like, can I get this without that? Can I actually have all the, this amazing relationship without dealing with my trauma? Can I have all this wealth without dealing with my poverty mindset? Sure, for about 10 seconds, and then it's all going to blow up because you can't hold it. And so, or you have it and you don't want it because you realize that it wasn't what you really wanted. And so, most of what's out there about manifestation is fourth dimensional manifestation. And, it can be faster, it can be exciting, it can be sexy, it can be all these things. And it's often not successful. And then when it is successful, we often don't want it by the time we have it, or it all of a sudden creates some huge healing crisis for us because we moved one part of us, not all of us. We didn't do it holistically. And so when we're aligning our will with, higher energies, the fifth dimensional energy, utilize that organizing energy. It's a slower process generally. And it helps us get in touch with who we truly are and what we need to shed, what's not us, to break those illusions. And from that place of fullness, we start to create all of these things that are exactly that: the life that we want to live, the people we want to do it with, the the abundance that comes with it, building it from the core of us out and holistically, which means we have to experience all of the aspects of ourselves and feel them shift and allow them to adjust and let the organizing energy lead rather than our egoic idea about what we want life to look like lead. Because what is it that we were really chasing? A feeling. I feel like me. I feel powerful. I feel expanded. I feel like the world loves me and I love the world and it's reflected back. Ultimately, that's this full expression of self into the world and being effective and impactful. And it's feeling fantastic. But we supplement that with all these ideas that are, kind of smaller aspects of that and try to bring that into our life, thinking that that's going to make us happy and create those other things. And so that's the laying it all on the table. How's that land for you, Nick?
Sounds great. I have a pragmatic question to ask here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how do you do that as someone who works in a dysfunctional system?
Yeah.
Because I guess that's the standard. Right? That's the standard for most people. Dysfunctional systems.
Yeah. And if we're embedded in it and playing along, it's dysfunction.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then if we, and quite often what we try to do when we're in those systems is we try to solve the top of the mind dysfunction, like the most painful dysfunction, then move to the next most painful dysfunction. And the truth is they're all just placeholders for the next dysfunction. because we're in a dysfunctional system. And so, that whole piece of like it makes me think of the 3 pillars of aligned living. One is sovereignty brings clarity, right? And so if we're not embedding our awareness of self in the way that we operate in that system, all of a sudden we get really clear. And then the next one is aligning our will with the organizing energy, like, and expanding in wonder to what that wants to create. And a lot of times that moves us outside of those systems. A lot of times, or we just navigate it and go, my role here is this, and I'm not going to touch all these other moving parts. I'm actually a solution for this, and the rest of that is not my responsibility, even though I'm constantly affecting it in a positive way. If I try to fix everything, like, that's not my role here. And I can't do my role if I'm taking on all the dysfunction. And then the third part is that expanding our capacity, the third pillar, to, that self-love, that ability to feel like we deserve and to hold what it is that we're receiving. And, we've talked about this joke on here a lot of times. It's not really that much of a joke that when we get that clear and we're really operating those, we become unemployable. Right? Because you're like, oh, I'm so clear that I'm not interested in being in that container. And then miraculously opportunities open up for us to work in our own containers and create our own containers. And so, like, I think that can be a reason a lot of people hesitate to do this work, is go like, well, what if I can't do the job I've been doing anymore? What if this doesn't work for me? Like, then something else will open up that does. And that's exciting. But we also can't have such an aversion to change that we don't allow for growth. We're like, I can change my income, but I can't change my, whatever. And that's like, it's all connected. And whenever we're trying to move stuff independently without allowing it all to move and trusting that what's really aligned for us is going to be cohesive and just stick to us. And what's not aligned will shed.
Yeah. I was just marketing back to the Harrison, which we've talked about a couple times, behavioral assessment tool, and how, well, at least for me, when I'm running folks through it, it's a 40 to 60 page document. There's 175 potential behaviors that show up. We don't talk about all 175. So, right. And after not even reviewing all of it, the 40 to 60 pages in an hour or an hour and a half, but the goal being you can understand it better outside of this conversation, outside of this debrief. The action item coming out is typically one thing. Let's talk about,
even though it's a rather holistic view of yourself and your operating system, there's certain areas that we're focusing on, and it's all connected.
That's right. Totally. Which is when I see the paradox slide or the paradox page, and it's 12 paradoxes and 24 traits. And there's all these graphs. And
the paradoxes are
things.
Traits that seem like they're opposites to each other, but they're actually very connected. And so the paradox of it is that both of them matter and that they're both very connected, even though it looks like from the beginning that they're not.
Yeah, like a communication style where we're taking a look at a paradox where it's frankness and diplomacy as an example. But I'm looking at that, and typically one trait will pop off the page for me. And then I start to imagine, if we worked on that one, if we went from a 3 to a 5, 6, whatever, what happens to everything else on that board?
It all moves.
And I'll play with it with a couple different ones, right? And it's like, oh, it doesn't feel like anything moves. So this one, what does it look like there? And so there's an obvious, here's what's going to happen when it moves based on that paradox. But then there's the relationship to all the other ones. Yeah. That like, well, what happens when that one trait moves? They all shift. All the paradoxes or all the traits on the board shift. I'm hearing what you're saying in this context and applying it to that context.
Yeah.
Because one of these things can lead to the other. The operating system itself can lead to the result we're talking about here.
But not independently. When one thing moves, everything moves.
Right.
And that's the short-sightedness, I think, of most manifestations. And so even just a simple, two of the biggest manifestations people work on is like relationships and finances. And so, like finances, somebody wins the lottery. Like we've talked about that. Like, well, what happens when somebody wins the lottery? For some people, it's great. Like they're ready to hold that kind of wealth. For other people, their operating system is not ready. They haven't done the inner work to be able to see themselves as somebody that's wealthy. So they end up doing things like getting sick. They end up having, relationship issues. They end up, you know, shedding the money so fast that they're actually bankrupt now and they're in worse shape than they were before. And they got a taste of what it felt like to be rich and what that lifestyle is. And that, that spoiled them. And now they have no money left. And now, they're left on the other side of this thing going, shit, I wish I never won the lottery. Like it created destruction. Or somebody that's ready, that's done the work, that has this massive infusion of wealth, and they go, great, this is how I wanted to expand who I am and how I show up in the world.
David, I keep hearing you say do the work. I don't understand. What do you mean by blah 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 do the work? What does that mean?
All of the positive things we're creating in life ask something of us, and they ask something of the people around us. And, if all of a sudden we get a sense of, something happened and I see myself in a different light and I feel more powerful now. Well, what does that mean? That changes all the dynamics in every one of my relationships. That means that I'm actually going to have a new standard for myself. And that means that I need to like grow in the way I communicate it. It means I need to grow in the way that I have boundaries, in the way that I hold love, in the way that I, walk through the world. And if we do that, all that unconsciously, like it's all still adjusting. And the work is going, how do I be intentional about it and recognize that these are all the moving parts, and it requires a lot of me and it requires a lot of the people around me, rather than just like, whoo, I won the lottery. I'm a millionaire now. Let's go party. Like, oh, great. Like, well, what does a stewardship of being a millionaire look like? And if we don't know that, and what does it look like to hold and to feel ourselves as that, to let that be our identity, and we don't let that shift, we just shed it. We use it for destruction. And like relationships, same thing. Oh, I've always wanted this relationship. Well, what if you haven't done the work to allow yourself to be comfortable with that level of intimacy, to allow yourself to be comfortable with being seen at that level, to see somebody else at that level, to have somebody so powerfully connected with you that you feel a sense of responsibility that you've never felt before. Like, well, now all the connective tissue shows up.
So how do I get the things you're talking about without doing the things you're talking about? How do I get that? Was it fifth dimensional outcome?
I mean, that fifth dimensional manifestation. And so what does that look like? Well, okay, well, I would like that relationship, or I would like the to win the lottery. I would like the money to come in. Okay, great. Well, let me prepare you for that. Right. And so the fifth dimensional manifestation says, okay, well, if you're going to bring wealth in, first thing you need to do is recognize how to hold a stability inside yourself that can handle that. And so our curriculum, the miracles that happen in our life, as we get confronted, we get experiences where that gets to grow, where the challenges in life show up to help us grow that. And the idea of aligned living is we have the tools to do that. And we have the wherewithal to know, oh, I'm navigating this right now. This is the value of this. This is why it's important for me. This is why it's not something challenging happening to me, but it's this beautiful growth opportunity and preparation for this next level of living an expanded, beautiful life. And when we embrace it and go, this is fantastic, because I know what comes next. This is great. I'm so glad I'm being challenged in this way to step up. And
what I really want
sometimes,
but I really want to know is that last part. I really want to know is how to achieve that manifestation without that suck part. How do I do that?
Sure. That's called fourth dimensional manifestation. It's delayed sucking. And again, it's like you're paying with cash, you're paying with credit. Like when we are in fifth dimensional manifestation, we pay with cash, right? Like this is what I have available today. And I'm on this path where I'm ever expanding and I'm growing, and my supply of cash and what I can buy with it, what I can create with it changes. When we fourth dimensionally manifest, we're going like, put it on credit. I'll pay for it later. Oh, great. I just got the $1 million. I just won the lottery. Now I'm going to pay for it with not be able to hold it, pay for it with the destruction of my relationships, pay for it with the imploding and, in my physical nature, like whatever it is. And that piece, the idea that we can shortcut our personal growth, I think that's often how manifestation is seen. And like The Secret was presented that way. And then you look at the difference between The Secret and Abraham Hicks and Esther Hicks, right? Like The Secret was actually based on the ideas of Esther Hicks. If you don't know who Esther Hicks is, she channels this entity known as Abraham, which is all about manifestation and creation and fifth dimensional manifestation, right? Like holding ourselves in this higher place and growing and expanding with it. And the Secret turned into fourth dimensional manifestation that sold really great people loved it, and were really intrigued by it, but it just didn't seem to work. It seemed to create a lot more problems than it did solutions. And, I think that that's a perfect example of that. The Rhonda Byrne, I think, is the woman who did The Secret. And so there's some great solid principles in there, but they're missing elements. And that creates more problems than it solves. It creates a healing process, which is about expansion and crisis, as opposed to stepping forward, growing and expanding, stepping forward, growing and expanding. And those are, it's like paying with cash or paying with credit. Like, okay, go buy it. Now you got to pay for it. Versus like, okay, pay the price, do the work. Now it's yours.
Which is a really lovely metaphor when we live in certainly Western culture, lives in a very heavy credit economic state.
Yep. Yeah.
I get it because I want it, and I'll pay for it later.
Yeah. And most of us are paying with some sort of hybrid, right? Like we've grown, we're ready for this, and then we put the rest on credit and we're like, okay, now this is asking a lot of me, but I'm ready. It's like I have so much equity in this. I've already paid off 90% of it. The 10% now is the part that I'm growing with as I've expanded. And that's actually going to prepare me now for the next level. And seeing it as we're always expanding, and that's what's exciting, and we trust ourselves more and our life becomes more fulfilling and reflects that growth more. There's an excitement to that. But if we're always playing the game of how do I shortcut this? How do I just keep holding this belief that the money's coming in? How do I just keep holding this belief that the relationship's coming in and not go, okay, well, who do I need to be to hold that? Who do I need to be the steward of that relationship? Who do I need to be the steward of that wealth? That's important.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
And the good news is, like, when we align our energy with the organizing energy of the universe, that's the path that we get taken on. When we align our energy with our ego, the path we get taken on is we create things that our ego wants, and then we pay for them afterwards. And then quite often don't want it and have to reset and hopefully then find our path back to that organizing energy of the universe, which it finds us and it just keeps correcting us and pushing us back. But hopefully, when I say we find it, is we recognize it and align with it rather than just keep fighting it the whole time and our ego trying to create this while the universe is creating that.
Yeah. Yeah. How many times do you want to learn the same lesson?
Yeah. Yeah. And so light topic, right? Well, that was our intention today, to come up with another light. And here's the thing is, like, all this is super light if we're not fighting it. Right? If there's an organizing energy universe that wants to support you, wants to make your life beautiful, wants to expand you in all of these ways, and you trust it and you align with it and you move with it, like, that is super light. But if you think that your ego desires should override that, then it's a very heavy topic.
I'm feeling like a lazy river. I'm feeling like that's the right metaphor for me.
It's funny because it's like we think it's easier to shortcut it. We think it's easier to do the fourth dimensional manifestation and just go, I'm just going to keep holding this as my truth until it comes true, versus like, I'm going to align with this organizing energy that's doing most of the work. I just need to believe in it and cooperate.
That's fun.
And trust.
So doing most of the work, so that the effort's already being made. It's the resistance to allow it to happen is what I think I'm hearing.
Yep. Yeah, and the ego desire for it to be different, to go, yeah, you know what? I'm going right here, and you're trying to take me to the right. You're like, well, yeah, if we go to the right first, that's going to allow that when you do get to where you want to go, for that to actually be a great experience for you.
Yeah.
It's development, it's the things we need to be ready for the things that we want. And it's like,
it's a little Rolling Stones. It's a little, you know, I mean, get what you want, but you get what you need type of thing.
Yeah. Which ultimately leads to what you want.
Right.
You just don't know you want it yet.
Yeah. Jagger knew the entire time. He hit it in the song.
It's funny. Another channel. I mean, think about it like, the 10-year-old that wants to play in the NFL, right? Like, oh, okay, good. Congratulations. Here you go. You're in the NFL. Like, well, how's that going to work out? No, I'd recommend training and training and training and training and going to high school and going to college and training and training and training and then, getting into the NFL and then you're ready. But if you go
and then training,
10-year-old, yeah, and then training, right? And the 10-year-old go, you know what? We're going to do some fourth dimensional manifestation. You are now the center. You're going to snap the ball. See that 350-pound dude in front of you? His job is to run you over. Your job is to stop him. But congratulations, you've manifested this. You thought you were ready. You didn't
want to
do
it's
the
gonna
work.
work out great. Yeah, that's gonna work out great.
But it's what we do, right? And then we go, holy shit, but because it doesn't look like that. When we paint that picture of a 10-year-old, who's 70 pounds lining up against a 350-pound grown-ass adult, like it looks ridiculous and it feels like really bad idea. But that's what we're doing. We're going, you know what? I know I'm only 10, but I think I'm ready. I want this because it's what I want.
Because it's what I want.
Yeah. And I would say that it's a very convenient truth if we accept it. If we don't accept it, it's a very inconvenient truth. And just like if we align with that organizing energy, awesome. So fun. Like there's something doing most of the work for me. If we don't and we try to shortcut it and chase our ego, we're doing all the work and then we're paying for it as well. And then we end up organizing energy just overrides us anyways and just pulls us off whatever we were doing back into it. And so it's kind of laughable from that perspective. Our human minds, especially we know better.
It sounds
so. How many times do we need to go through that before we go? You know what? This organizing energy, it's like I decided I think my heart should beat faster instead of slower. I think it'll give me more energy to get stuff done. So I'm going to override my autonomic nervous system and just make my heartbeat go faster because I think that'll give me more energy. Oh, is that a good idea?
I feel like doctors would highly caution against that.
Well, here's what we could do. You know what? If I just create anxiety constantly, my heart rate's always up and now I have more energy. Like, oh, okay. Well, what is that? Well, there's a fight or flight thing that happens. There's a health thing that happens. There's but I feel really charged. Okay. That's your only goal.
I have a sense of responsibility to say higher stress is not the path here.
But some people, that's how they set up their life. They go, gosh, life is really exciting when I have all this high stress in here. And I feel really activated all the time. Like, yeah, because your body thinks you're about to die.
Yeah. Right. Highly reactivated all the time.
Yeah. You go, well, there's another way. And it's like the simplicity of it. It's hard for us to wrap our head around that it's actually easier because it doesn't feel that way. And it's easier without resistance. If we have resistance, it makes it hard. If something stronger than you is trying to take you somewhere, say it was a bus and you get on that bus and you're like, well, this is great. It just takes me there. But if you go, I'm not going to let this bus move me, that's going to be really uncomfortable. But what if that bus or that train actually is here for your highest good, has a better vision for you than you have for yourself, and you can cooperate with it?
So to bring it all home, Entourage Effect, very important. You can't pick and choose the cherries and expect everything else to be okay. I mean, you can, but it ain't going to be okay. It's a package deal.
Yeah.
And there's work involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's an organizing energy that will just take you on the path. You have a guide. And it's run through everything.
Yeah.
And that's what we teach. Doesn't sound like fun? Who doesn't want to do that? Awesome. Well, I hope you're enjoying this conversation and it's valuable to you and you can see the reflections in your own life. And when Nick and I often talk about when we look back on our lives, we can see all the times when our ego decided it wanted something, we tried to create it, and the organizing energy of the universe maybe let us have that and then smacked out of our hands, revealed to us we didn't want it and pulled us back. Right. And so we have all done it. It's how we get to an idea that says, well, shit, there's an easier way than what I thought was the easy way. And I always thought it was the hard way, but it's actually the easy way. I just didn't understand it yet. And once I understand it, this is awesome.
Yeah. And it still shows up. It's part of the human condition. The job is to recommit to what we're talking about repeatedly to continue to move forward. But it's part of the human condition.
Right the ship.
Repeatedly. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, thanks for listening, everyone. You have a great week, and we'll see you all next week. We hope you enjoyed listening to today's podcast, and if you did, please subscribe so you can catch the next episode. If you want to learn more about the Aligned Living System and how it could support you in your life, check out davidwaldas.com.